Hi there, my name is Lee House and this is my audio implementation demo using Wwise with the open source first-person shooter Cube. The finished result of this project was a complete and playable Cube level where every aspect of the audio, including the sound effects, dialogue and music, were designed, created and implemented by myself. For my chosen level I needed two different material types for the footsteps, concrete and metal, so I took a portable recording kit out very early in the morning whilst the city background ambience was minimal. I used a pair of military issue leather boots to get a heavier and clunkier sound and to suit the player's military background. I cut up, processed and imported 5 to 7 footsteps for each foot on each material type. I then grouped each foot into a random container so that every time the foot was triggered, a random sample was played. And finally, I sequenced the footsteps with a left foot, right foot trigger sequence order. For the weapon sound design, I used various pre-recorded sound libraries. When designing the body of the shotgun, I used 3 layers to give the overall impression of one big body sound. The first layer was a clean shotgun recording to give the main characteristic. The second sweetener layer was a different shotgun recording, processed with some heavy distortion to emulate the intense sound pressure level and the distortion that your ears would experience in close proximity to a real gunshot. And the final layer was the bombastic punch of the sub-enhanced frequencies of yet another shotgun recording, a layer which is needed to create the artificial oomph used in film and game weapon sound design. I exported 4 variations of the shotgun body layer and used Wise's powerful tools to add further variation to each element of the whole shotgun sound, including pitch randomization, volume randomization, and time variation between the triggering of each individual element. For example, the pump action and shell droppings of the gun play back at varying times when the gun is fired. I used these randomization tools with subtlety on nearly every sound implemented into my project to simulate as much natural variation as possible and avoid constant repetition, which is something that our ears and brain can easily pick up on. I also used the same weapon design technique as just described for the other weapons on my level, the machine gun and the rocket launcher. Try to put some pitch variation in it in a way. I conscripted the help of a voiceover artist for alien vocalizations. A bit quicker. I applied the appropriate dynamic and EQ processing to balance and shape the clarity of the audio before moving on to pitch processing, modulation and granulation to achieve non-human vocals. To fit my constructed narrative, I also recorded some dialogue for the player and for the guide that instructs and prompts the player via wireless communications.
Consoles to open the doors. You've got to get to the south wing docking bay and we'll send in a bird to pick you up. Over.
Looks like I'm on my own.
The guide also gives warnings to the player when health is low or high damage is inflicted. To do this, I use switch containers and game parameters within Wwise to set up a threshold for the point where the warning can be triggered. As you can see, when the game parameter linked to the player's health goes below 20, the audio events, in this case the health warning, becomes active. And I link this to the player pain event with a 45% probability of playback.
Your vitals aren't looking good. You better get a field kit.
I also used real-time parameter controls to link the player's health to the volume and pitch of heartbeat and breathing audio events, so that as the player's health decreases, his breathing and heartbeat get louder and faster to indicate a sense of stress and urgency. I wanted to give the power-ups an artificial sound to help give the player a sense of rejuvenation. So using Native Instruments Massive, I created a soft synth sound using various sine-based waveforms, and then inserted an LFO modulated frequency shifter to control the quick dip and rise of the synthesizer pitch to give that literal power-up feeling. For the music, I wanted to compose a creative sound design driven score to help build an eerie and tense sci-fi atmosphere, and I started the process by setting myself a challenge. I wanted to see how many different sounds I could contort and manipulate out of just one original audio sample in order to create a sound palette for my score. Using a recording I made of steam from a coffee maker, I applied a wide variety of effects including spectral processing, time stretch processing, and various modulation and enveloping. I exported a solo version of the alarm-like steam sample with the high-cut filter opened all the way and imported it into Wwise as a layer on top of each music segment. Using the player health real-time parameter control, I linked the volume of the alarm track so that as the player's health decreases, the alarm layer becomes louder. With the high intensity state, I separated 3 different variations into different random step containers so that the different segments would be sequenced in a continuously varying structure. Finally, the state transitions were programmed into Cube using the Cube editor to add the trigger points to the game source code. I hope you enjoyed watching this Wwise Audio Implementation Demo, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me via email.
Sir, find some cover. Vitals aren't looking good. You need to get a field kit.